please. Now, what about confidentiality? What about confidentiality? Allow me, do you want? Okay, wisdom, proceed.
Agreement.
Oh, wisdom raises and wisdom, are you there? Okay, Moyo, proceed.
Agreement regarding how to communicate and handle sensitive data, such as account credentials that were uncovered by the testing.
Okay. How about SLA? Service level agreement. Wisdom, you want to take this one?
Okay. Yeah. SLA documented minimum and maximum performance expectation of the penetration test service.
NDA. All right. Let's proceed to the next one. Compliance requirement and local restrictions. You remember what we said about local restriction and compliance requirement. But now we need to take a lab session and we need to conduct research of penetration testing companies. I don't think I want to do this. This is not a practical lab actually. This is something you should take while you were probably studying it. So let's move on to explaining the importance of scoping and organizational or customer requirements. The importance of scoping. I think I've mentioned earlier. So what do you all understand by the rule of engagement? What's the rule of engagement when it comes to penetration testing? Should I call someone? Okay, Wisdom said I should call someone. So Wisdom, I'll call you. What do you understand by rule of engagement?
Okay. It's actually like the whole thing, the like the penetration, so penetration testing service is going to like undergo. So like in dealing with the time of the time of the testing, the location and all that, then probably the how the communication is going to occur. So that's just basically like rules of engagement.
Okay. Is there any other person? Allow me to proceed.
It specifies the conditions in which the penetration test can be conducted. It also contains the testing day, the time, the methods for communication, the IP addresses that will be under review, and then the types of tests that are allowed and the ones that are not allowed.
Okay. So when we're talking about the rule of engagement, there are certain things you need to put in scope, which you need to understand or you need to like have in mind. Let me put it out. The scope definition. What are you testing? In terms of network, in terms of application, in terms of assets, what are you authorized to test? That should be included in your role, in your rules of engagement. Now, when you're talking about legal compliance, should also be included. The tools that you're allowed to use and the techniques or the approach you want to use, if they are actually allowed, should be included in your rules of engagement. How are you handling data and privacy? It should be included in your rules of engagement. And also reporting and communication, which is like what I said earlier, which is, let's say you want to engage a customer, the questions you're asking them is going to show, okay, who is going to be the first person I'm going to contact whenever I come across a vulnerability? Maybe we need to do a not fix. Who am I going to be talking to? Yeah, so those kind of things are very, very, very important, and they need to be included in the rule of engagement. So let's move on to the next one. I'm going to take a practice for this later. Now, target list and in scope assets. What does that mean? Target list and in scope assets. Target list and in scope assets. What does it mean? I'm not talking about SOAP, Swagger, WSDL, or Graphic, or GraphQL, or WADL. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the target list and in scope assets. Moyo.
So I just want to explain this how I understood it because it was actually giving me tough time understanding while I was studying it. So I feel like it's talking about you have to like you have to understand what you need to do before you start a pen test. That is, okay, what are the network you want to test, or what type of tools do you need? What are the IP addresses ranges of the device and asset that you want to test? What do you need to do them, or how will you go about it? So from the word target, I feel like it's talking about the assets of a particular target, like the scope, how the scope want to go and everything, how it go be. I be like saying that's just it.
All right, I get your point. It's like she was really trying to express herself, and I don't know, just from pure English, I don't know, Mayo going to, I mean, Mayo, Mayo going to pidgin just to express herself. Well, if you're having an engagement meeting with your customer and you were using your pure English, then you went into pure pidgin like you just did. I don't know what's going to happen to the project. So, all right, no problem. Let's just proceed. So, target list, you explained it actually, but there's one thing I want you to understand when we're talking about target list or a scope assets. Um, how do you approach them? You already have a list of things you can work with, right? But how do you approach them? Now, there's something I want to mention, which is in a scenario where you have your known or an unknown system, despite the fact that a customer has given you, okay, this is what, or they've given you documentation related to an application. Now, what do I mean? Documentation related to an application means they will tell you how the application works. Even in most scenarios, you are working with the quality assurance team and the project management manager or the product developer, the product manager, I mean, just to give you like a business logic of how the application works. But when it comes to APIs, right? You see, they mentioned something related to Swagger. It has to do with documentation. When it comes to GraphQL, it has to do with documentation. It's just like, okay, you are carrying out an engagement, but you are trying to gather all documents related to your targets. You understand? So that's just the whole idea behind it. Now, if you look at SOAP, which is a simple object access protocol, it's an API standard that relies on XML and related scheme. XML-based specifications are governed by XML schema definition documents. Documents. Now, having a good reference of what specific API support can be beneficial for a penetration tester. It's still giving you what is in scope. Now, what you have in scope and how you can navigate what you have in scope already. Now, let's talk about Swagger. Swagger I think is the most popular one. So it shows documentation of an API, what you call, and when you call something, when you call a particular endpoint, what is happening. That's the whole idea behind it. And when we talk about WSDL, Web Service Description Language, is an XML-based language that is used to document the functionality of a web service or an application. So basically, all of this is just to give you an insight to what you are testing or the logic of the flow, basically. Now, the following are some additional resources you can make use of. Whenever you're hired as a penetration tester, you see SDK, you can ask for the SDK, probably a source code access, example of application requests, you send in a request, the system architectural diagram, can ask for all of that as well, just to know how you're working. So in terms of a network assessment, or in terms of an internal or an external network security assessment, you can know what you're working with. That's why you request for the network architectural diagram. So let me also mention something around this word here, change management. Just 1 second. Okay, so let me mention something around change management, which is there are some times where you need to carry out something very, very like okay, it's just like a major change you are applying to an application. That is where the word change management comes into play, where you need there is a clear communication about that crucial procedure you're about to like to do. You understand? Let's say, for example, you're carrying out an assessment and you found a very high risk vulnerability, which will affect the way the application is being modeled before. Now, the fact that you want to go through the process of remediation that would tamper with the way the application is being how do I put it? The way the application is being structured earlier. So the developers will have to like probably reach out to their managers. There will be some sort of like change management requests for those kind of things. That's for very crucial changes. I don't even understand my word. The very crucial changes. So there are sometimes where there's something we call legacy system. Let me just bring this in where developers will tell you we cannot we cannot apply this remediation. And you'll be asking them, why is that? Why can't you apply the remediation? They tell you, man, it is a legacy system and it has been built like for a very long time. So even change management requests will be one of the issues they'll be having, where even management might not even approve that they should implement such thing. So you can also come across that as well. I'm just chipping that in for you. So let's take a practice of this. So you are studying the penetration testing agreement for a new engagement with one of Protego's customer. You are especially interested in the information that the client will provide to Protego to support the test. Now, what technical assets may be identified as provided in the scope of test? What technical assets out of all of this may be identified as provided in the scope of text? Check order applies.
API documentation,
Okay.
the service level agreement, and non-disclosure agreement. Sorry. What am I saying? API documentation, wireless IDs, system architecture and network topologies, topology documents.
Mr. Chua, what happened before?
I wasn't paying attention, sorry.
Okay. Validating the scope of engagement. What does it mean? Validating the scope of engagement. What are you doing when you're validating the scope of engagement? Okay, let's go through it together to have a better understanding of it. Now, the first step in validating the scope of engagement is to question the client and review the contracts. Now, you must also understand who the target audience is for your penetration testing report. Who is this report going to later end up with? Is it an executive person? Is it one of the board members? Is it a technical person? Now, you should also understand the subject, the business unit, and other entities that will be assessing your penetration testing engagement. For everybody, it is coming from a different point of view. Now, I think the little TP is talking about time management. Yes, time management is very, very important whenever you're carrying out an assessment. Most especially when you have a contract when you are being paid by, let's say, hourly, time management is very, very important. You don't just want to waste time on a particular target because you are being paid hourly. So now answering the following questions is going to help you discover different characteristics of your target audience. Now, what is the entity of the individual's reports? The primary client is the first one who is getting the penetration testing report at the end of the day. Even in some cases, you might not. It might not be one person. It could be okay. You are sending the report to the executive. You are sending the report to the technical person. Now, the two of them understand different languages entirely. So you should know how to draft a report towards like an executive point of view, and you know how to like do your report where it's also work with a technical person. You understand? Now, the next one is your purpose and goal. What is the position of the individual who will be the primary recipient of the report within the organization? Is he a board member person? Now, next, concerning your purpose and goal, what's the main purpose of the penetration testing engagement? Sometimes you need to ask your customers, why are you carrying out this assessment? So you will know where you are working towards. You understand? So, for example, I think last 2 weeks I was called to like carry out an API assessment, and my next question was, "Is there any reason why you are carrying out this assessment?" And they told me there's a new feature. You understand? There's a new feature they implemented on a particular endpoint, and I mean, a particular new endpoint is going to be called, and I was like, they wanted me to check it. So that would limit my scope rather than just going into the API testing on the endpoint. No, that particular endpoint that they mentioned is what I will go towards, and I'll do the test and round up. So also talking about responsibility and authorities, what is the individual or business unit responsibility or the authority to make a decision based on your findings? Now, if you are dealing with a company and your report is going to the did I say the CTO? Yes, they would work on your report as soon as possible. But let's say it's going to the CTO. It's not like they won't work on it as soon as possible, but it's the management person. They might not really understand um the the risk of your vulnerability reports. One thing about most of the people in businesses or in management is money should come in. That's their own idea. But someone who's like a CTO, he can actually relate that if this thing is not fixed, it's a big glitch. Now, who are you? Who's the report? Who is it being addressed to? That's one thing you need to also know. Is it to the CISO? Is it to the CIO, to the CTO, or just to the technical teams? Yeah. And who are the other set of people that will have access to the reports? Yeah. These are also things you need to put in place whenever you are coming up with your reports and you are trying to validate the scope of engagement. And one thing also is you should also have a very good line of communication with your clients. That you don't hide anything from them. Be plain about it. You understand? Don't forget you're an hacker already, and imagine you are not now plain again. So that's even worse, and you are even giving them more reasons why you should not be hired for a particular contract. And also have proper documentation. Have proper documentation of answers to the following questions. Now, who are the relevant stakeholders? What is the contact information for relevant stakeholders? How can they reach out to you? Now, the communication procedure, how will you be able to communicate with the stakeholders? Like I said earlier, initially, if you are having um, um, if you're having an assessment done, you need to ask your clients who will you reach out to, and even right on the call where you're having your scoping session with them, you need to ask for the email of who will be reached out to, or sometimes they even prefer you call them on phone. Understand? Another thing is timing of interaction. How often do you interact with the stakeholders as well? Emergency contacts. In case an emergency arises, probably a server you're carrying out an assessment on just goes off all of a sudden. Now, they might not quickly know. They might feel like, okay, it's an issue coming from, like it's a random issue, or it was actually due to the test you're carrying out. So you can just inform them. They should know about it. You understand? So let's proceed further into strategy. This is just related to all the information we just talked about. Strategy, known and unknown environments. Now, what do you mean by known and unknown environment testing? What do we know them to be before, right? We first start calling them known and unknown environment.
We know them to be white box and black box.
Okay, we know them to be white box and black box. What's the black box?
The black box is the unknown. The white box is the known.
What makes them different?
I didn't hear that.
What's the difference?
Okay, for the unknown, you are giving little information about what you're to hack. Then for the known, you are giving more information. That's the difference.
All right. Please, Dom, you want to say something?
Yeah, the thing is that for unknown is probably related to black box, in the sense that like there's like little or no information, like depending on what the test is. So probably if it's, let's say, a network test, probably they might not give any IP address, they might not give any network diagram. Same thing for web application security, probably they will not give any key information. But for non-environment testing, there's probably like more information that's going to help, narrow down the scope of the pen test, something like that.
Mm, thank you. So let's move on to the strategy option of the unknown environment testing. So you have been asked to participate in an unknown environment penetration test. What information do you expect will be provided for your team? What information do you expect will be provided for your team?
Um, I think the minimal information that may include IP address and domain names. Hello?
Yeah. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Sorry. Did anyone give an answer to this? Because I was.
Yes, I said minimal information that may include IP address and domain names.
Okay. Thank you. So we have the pre-engagement lab. I think this is not a practical lab. Create a penetration testing scope, plan and document. With all what we've been discussing, you can create this by yourself. I think the skill check should also be. I'm just trying to move on this as soon as I can, so I can go into like a trial box today, and we can have some practical approach to some things. Professionalism, ethical mindset by maintaining professionalism and integrity. What this entails is confidentiality. You don't dispense information that you're not allowed to. You don't talk about your project outside or in the midst of people. Although there's more to this, which is background check of penetration testing teams, adherence to specific scope of engagement. You don't go beyond what you. Sometimes you might even find, like let's say for example, you discovered an SQL injection on another domain. As far as that domain is not in the scope of engagement, don't exploit it. Like that's just what it is. You are trying to maintain a level of professionalism and integrity. Well, you can mention it to the customer, you can mention it to the client, but do not exploit. Identification of criminal activity and immediate reporting breaches. Limit of use of tools to a particular engagement. This has to do with local restrictions, which is you sometimes they'll tell you don't use Bob Suite to carry out an assessment of my application. I'd be like, if I did not use Bob Suite, which other application will I use? It could be grumbling, but the best thing is just to follow what the customer says because they know best. They know the way the application is. Limit invasiveness. Try not to trigger intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention systems. Confidentiality of data and information you discovered, and also the risk to the professionals. So I think we've covered most of what is in module 2 for week 2, basically. So you all should look forward to week 3, which is information gathering and vulnerability scanning. That is where the, should I say, the real life of a penetration tester is getting started. Like the technical parts, you understand? All what we've been discussing are very, very important. But here is when you start putting, like, you are start having like an hands-on experience on what you have been talking about. Okay, the whole scenario is just playing you through. You have a client, Excel Paradise, you work with a security company, Protego Solutions. Yeah, that's just what it is. So by next week, you believe I believe you start carrying out information gathering and vulnerability scanning on a Pixel Paradise assets, which is your client in this scenario. So I just want to introduce briefly to some rooms. Some rooms might cover what you've been doing last week, but I'll just try as much as we can to cover 2 rooms today and connect to it. So for that reason, I'll be bringing up my Kali Linux. Oh, I might not use my Kali Linux. I don't know how the room will be so intense. So let me just go to track me myself. So if you're still having issues with connecting to OpenVPN, can you just let me know? Is anyone still having issues like connecting to OpenVPN? Okay, I'm coming. I'm just trying to look for a room. Okay, so I have a room on okay, we've done active and passive recon, and now there'll be a room today talking about OSINTs. Let me confirm the room availability. OSINTs. Okay, and there's one other room, hackers methodology. Let me come up with that as well. So far so good. Before we start these rooms, do we have anyone who wants to say something? Like, they have a question, and the question is no, it's not a must. It has to do with the class or something. If you have something in mind, you just want to talk about, yeah, that's fine. That's fine as well.
Sir, please, one of the rules that you gave us, I think, on active record, can you just briefly take us through that the use of netcat? Because I'm kind of a bit confused. I couldn't use netcat on. I don't know whether it's because of my Kali or so. So I don't know if it's possible. You can just show us how to.
Okay, I'm seeing some questions popping up. 1 second, please. Okay, so I'm just opening all my. I'm opening all the rooms we'll be checking out. So, someone mentioned something about active recon. Okay, good. Now, telnet. I'll be using the attack box option, but if I see I have a longer hour, I'll be using the connection of the OpenVPN. So this is what we'll do. We'll read through it together. I will see what they say we should do. And why it is very important for you to know how to use telnet. To be very realistic, you see these answers they're asking. If I were to be the one, they are different approach to it. I won't even use telnet. But let's use telnet. Because a lot of people are saying they don't understand. By using Nikto alone, you can get those information. Somebody mentioned, okay, Moyo, you mentioned telnet. Um,
Yes.
Eric, you said something. I don't understand what you meant. Eric, are you here?
Yeah, that was during the time you asked the question. I think we've
Oh,
gone past
oh,
it.
oh, okay, okay. Renato said, I just wanted to know after the pen test is done, how far do you need to go regarding solution and fixes, and it has to be decided before. Yes, you need to decide before you proceed. If you find any vulnerability, you discuss with your customers. Some of them will even ask you, because I've been in a meeting like that, like an engagement meeting, where they were asking, um, um, are you going to be available for remediation? And it is even based on, okay, yes, we'll be available, but it comes at a cost. After being available for like, okay, the first time, for you to call us the second time, it comes at a cost. Just have that conversation with them on how you'll be carrying it out. Do you understand? So, active recon. Renato, did I answer your question? Active recon, let's take it from the beginning, from Telnet. Aside Telnet, the person who asked the question, was it not the same Telnet you mentioned, or Netcat? Okay, Netcat is at the bottom. So let's take Telnet first. So the Telnet network protocol was developed in 1969 to communicate with remote systems via command line. Telnet was like once you type in Telnet in your terminal, it's a command you can use in your Linux. Easy for remote administration. Also, Telnet sends all data, including username and password, in clear text. Sending clear text makes it easy for anyone who like comes in between the communication process to see informations that are going like that are being passed across on the internet. Let's say in a scenario where there is a MIT man in the middle attack. But when you have a secure alternative to Telnet is MSSH, a secure shell protocol. So, however, the Telnet client, with its simplicity, can be used for other purposes, which is knowing that Telnet client relies on TCP. You can use Telnet to connect to any service and grab its banner. That's what we're trying to do here. So, this is what we want to do. Here, you can see this icon. That means you have a machine that you can deploy. Now, you start the machine, you close it back. So once you close it back, you go back to your telnet and let's proceed. So once the machine is open, you see we have a machine IP address here and we have a port we can telnet from. So then we go to this. You see the command we are given here is what we are going to make is on this part, on this terminal phase. Then the machine IP address and the port. Yeah, that's just what we want to do now. So we want to answer the first question and the version of the Apache running on the server. Let's wait for this to come up. It's going to take a while, I guess. This is it. So, aside this, I've not seen anyone who asks me questions about how to get a job. I think all of us are learning this thing for fun.
Sir, Shebi is what you know that you say you want to look for a job. We never even it's never you see you say I dey ask the other time that is there people that are actually doing this thing? Because like it's kind of weird. I've let me say I've never even heard that maybe the company I work for actually engage. Maybe I'm not in the position to hear about it, but like I feel like at least you're supposed to know that okay, maybe this company is actually requesting for something like this, or you know.
Oh, everybody's just laughing. Wow. Adisa, were you waiting for me to ask you that question?
Yes, of course, I'm waiting for you to even
So this is one thing I would say, which is okay. Now, when I so
sir, if you remember
what I
the first
meant by
I mean the first
okay,
class.
you still want to say something? I'm listening.
You know, I asked something like, okay, then I've actually like applied for this thing, but then when they were just explaining something to us, nobody actually said, okay, this is how you go about it, or the insights you've given us, like, okay, this is what happens, this is what happens, okay, I've worked with something like that, and this is what happened. Everybody they just like, okay, this is active recon, this is passive recon. this vulnerability scanning, this thing. Nobody actually said, okay, give you an instance of, okay, this is how you go about it. You understand? So it's kind of weird. Like that's why I almost like just bunch into the question that you asked. Like, okay, so we never even, at least when you know that you've already reached a limit to, okay, how do I now get the job? How do I? So I think we just save the question for later. So
Yes. Okay. Okay. I would no. I will save the question for later. But this is one thing I want you guys to have in mind, which is don't think you need to be 100% good before you can start applying for jobs. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that when you're on your 8 weeks, just reach out to me, show me your resume. We can work on it together and start applying for jobs. Even when you know you cannot do it, apply. One thing you are doing is you are getting yourself to the interview phase. Once you get to the interview phase, if you fail the first interview, you fail the second interview, you fail the third one, you have a confidence already and you are building yourself to get the main job. You understand? Even on your 4th week, this is what you are doing. This is what I can do so far. Don't be surprised. Someone can still pick you up and tell you you will learn on the job, if I'm being honest with you. So you don't need to be 100% good. You don't even need to finish everything. Because at the end of the day, if I'm being real with you, I have a general knowledge of everything I'm teaching you. And at the end of the day, when I'm at the office, I only focus on application security, API security. When it comes to network, I'm not even the one handling it at the office. Although I know about it, I know how to use other tools, I know how to set up tools and do everything. When it comes to cloud, setting up security configuration, Azure, doing permission and all those things, I learned them on the job. You understand? So I can tell you that once you are 70% into it, all these things you are doing, you will write it on your resume that you did track mirror. You said you carry out an assessment or you carry out an active reconnaissance on a target. I'm giving you an to what you'll be writing down inside your resume. So somebody can look at it and be like, oh, this person has a practical approach or a practical experience to it. Because it's going to look somehow if I don't mention this now and somebody comes to me later, like, okay, like they are 10th week, or they don't have a resume. I'll be like, what have I been telling you in classes all these days? So this look, you've completed your track. Me now, I don't see post on. I see some people post on LinkedIn about it. Okay, that's good, but I don't see it to the extent that I was expecting. Like I just finished the room today. Let me show you my LinkedIn. I just finished the room today because me myself I'm learning about DevSecOps. I just finished like the first part of this security software development lifecycle, right? Let me show you my LinkedIn so you can understand what I'm saying. It's not until you finish this thing. So you can see, I just posted it today. So imagine I've been working for like almost 2 years now, and I just finished computer pen test plus parts. I still posted it. So I don't know. I'm just being honest. Like you guys just need to start building something before you can even have your resume. Before you can, don't say because you don't have the knowledge yet. No, someone out there is making money with even the knowledge. Okay, I don't even know how to explain it anymore. But I'm not saying you should be a fraud where you gonna tell people you can what you cannot do. No, what I'm just trying to say is have the basic knowledge to get started. Then keep yourself out there. Wisdom, you want to say something? Don't forget, our time is counting down. You know, our room is not long.
So, in what area do you start looking for those things? Like, is it in web or network or cloud? Like, what area should we start looking for those things?
Okay, Wisdom, can I answer your question later? Just drop it in the chat. Let me finish with this one first. With the question people are asking, with the question related to this one. So now you can see we have our target machine here at the top, which is 10.10.120.180. Now let's telnet into the machine on port 80 and let's see what we get back. So telnet, the machine IP address 10.10 10.10.120.180 on port 80. That's the port in front of you. Press enter. Now, what you want to do next is following this command here. You issue a command, you issue a get request command, and you're getting it on HTTP 1.1. So it's going to be get forward slash space HTTP forward slash 1.1, and you press enter. Then you wait for a response. Wisdom, you can still drop a question in the text. So can you see we're getting a 404 bad request, 400 bad requests, but that's not even the deal here. The question here says, the question here is, what is the name of the running server? This is it, Apache. Now what's the version? 2.4.10. This is it. Did that answer your question? Moyo, do you
Yes.
get it?
Yes, I get it. But I'm sorry, I want to ask a question again. No, I'm sorry. This escape character is where you know that type it there, or it generated it
No,
by itself.
no. It was generated to this point. Then I issued this command. It was a get request, just get command, and I pressed enter, and it came up with this.
Okay, so it generated the escape character is whatever that it was there by itself.
Yeah. Yes. Then after
All right,
that, I
thank
now
you.
imputed get HTTP
Yes,
1.1.
1.1. Yeah.
So that gave me the server. And
Thank you.
yeah. So let's go to netcats. I think we're using the same targets. So netcats. So according to netcats, or simply NC has a different application that can be of great value to a connection tester. We support both TCP and UDP. Or most times when I use netcat, I just try to like set up a listener and a receiver like on a server. Right. But let's use netcat again to just get information. And what's the information we're looking for? You see, like I said earlier, you can use netcat for like listening mode. So what information I'm trying to get? What's the version of the running server? On port 21. Don't forget. So just go here again. We'll go to this place again. We'll type in NC and look at the ports. You change it to port 21 and you press enter. Yeah, I'm not getting any feedback. Why is that? So this is what's going to happen. Okay, let me set up another terminal here. Let's say I'm listening on port 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not getting any feedback. Now let's look at the procedure. So what was being said here. So if we carry it out on port 80 and we see it's the same command like it is listed here, we'll still get the server name and the version running. Right? Now, based on the output we receive, now use endcards to connect and listen to a port of another system. So when you want to open the port, okay, you can make use of this to listen on a particular port 1, 2, 3, 4. Better yet, you can use the whole functionality of the verbosity to listen and all that. So on the client side, I'm trying to understand how this procedure is supposed to go. You don't even have access to the server to start with. Let me terminate this machine. Chino, I saw your message. Using the IP of the active system, active VM. Let me just start the new. Let me start this machine. This one. It is different from this one we used earlier. Let me start this one. Ten dots 131.210. Then the port is for 21. Now let me turn into it on port 21. 10.131 dot 210 on port 21. Now let me do the get command again. Port space HTTP /1.1. Connect this server. I said it does not understand. I'm trying to understand where this issue is coming from. So I'm to set up a server. Sorry. Oh, I have my answer already, actually. Sorry. Thank you very much, Renato. I have my answer already. This is it. This is the version of Linux running on port 21. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was confused actually, like what's happening. Sorry. So thank you. That's it for concerning Netcat. But to get the version running on the server, which is related to that particular port. Now, this same thing that we just did, we could use Nmap. Just Nmap could give us an answer related to this. So just Nmap. Nmap is a scanner which we are going to learn about next week. And the IP address is 10.10.131.210. Now, I don't say you should use Nmap against every target you see. Try to understand me. I'm not saying you should use Nmap against. So now, if you send an IP address, like, oh, I just learned this now. I'm going to use it on the system. So even the fact that you're using Nmap on a particular IP address does not mean that that IP address is for the owner who claimed it. So you can see that the same approach, the same answer. You see, get engines 1.6.2, which is what I think they got here, and the FTP itself 0.17. So that's it. Still gives us two answers. So somebody also mentioned something about trace route. So let me terminate this. And let me start this one. So why don't you understand about trace routes? Who has the question? What don't you understand about trace routes? Genius.
Yeah, I was finding it hard to like use the trace route, and when I was doing it, I was getting another answer. So I don't know
I can't
what I
hear you.
was doing.
Can you come closer to your microphone?
Like I said, I was finding it like difficult to use the trace route. While I was doing it, I was getting a different result. So I don't know if I'm really doing it well.
Okay, let me just explain to you. The basic idea behind trace route is just to show you the amount of should I say connections you have before you successfully connect to a server, before you successfully like ping a server. I don't even understand what that means. So let's say you want to talk to a particular server, traceroute is going to show you the connection process between you and that server. Like how many, should I say up counts? Yes, it has to go through before it gets to that server. That's it. One thing I think I'll tell you guys to look for now is why are you doing a trace route? Because it's not applicable to all scenarios. Whenever you are told to do something, okay, like let's say this one I was talking about ping. Why do you need to use ping? Now, for me, I use ping because I want to know if the server is live. I don't even need to scan before I know if the server is live. I just need to just ping it. Once it's response, it's fine. You can ping any website. If it is active, it will respond. You understand? So I think that's that for active reconnaissance. Let me move to the ACAS methodology. Oh, room progress is 61. I'm not even done. So I want to believe everyone has the system on this room on their system. Let me send you the link in the chat. Because I want to believe everyone has this thing on. I'm waiting. I decided you have your system on and you're on track currently. Well, is it on your system?
No, it is not. My system is dead and there's no light. Died yesterday night and there hasn't been light since yesterday night.
Okay, I'm going to carry on from there. Aside Moyo, I decided are you there? Chigoze, is your system on?
Yes, my system is on. I'm in the room.
Okay. Wisdom.
Yes, my system is on.
Calamity. Please just give a thumbs up if your system is on.
Yeah, my system is on.
All right. Okay, I think I have a very good number of people that the system is on. All right. So let's just proceed. Now, the procedure for the methodology for an ethical hacker or an hacker is reconnaissance, enumeration, or scanning, gaining access, privilege escalation, covering of track. Reconnaissance, you are looking for information related to your target. Enumeration is you already have your target, you're trying to get more information from your target. Now, all the information you get from your target, you're trying to use it to exploit your target. That's gaining access. Now, once you gain access into the system, you are trying to do a lateral movement within the system, or you are trying to like move from one state to another within the system. That's privilege escalation. Now, after you've hacked it, you've installed the backdoor, you want to cover your tracks. After you cover your track, you report. This is the procedure for an hacking methodology. That does not mean that when a client calls you to come and carry out an assessment, you have to go through all this process or procedure for you to believe you carried out an assessment. No. Every scenario has its own unique approach. So, what's the first phase of security assessment or of the hackers methodology? What was the first procedure of an hackers methodology?
Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance. Aside the fact that I mentioned you need to gather information concerning the target when it comes to reconnaissance, what else do you do during reconnaissance? So let me explain this to you. You've done active and passive reconnaissance. That's why I'm asking you that question. What else do you do related to reconnaissance?
Is it scanning and enumeration?
No, I'm still talking about
I feel
reconnaissance.
like
No, you proceed.
so I you can also use reconnaissance to make some kind of contact with your target. That is to talk to them, like maybe to visit. Sorry, please. Sorry. To make some kind of contact with your target.
Okay, so when you make contact with your target, that is active reconnaissance. Olamide, you want to say something?
I would say footprinting.
Oh, yeah, I see some kind of reconnaissance. Yeah, you're right. I think the main point there is knowing that active reconnaissance is of two types: where you interact with your target and when you make use of public information. Now, making use of public information makes use of like maybe it means you are using information like Google, you're using DuckDuckGo, you're making use of website like Wikipedia to gather information about your target. Social media as YouTube and LinkedIn, Twitter to get informations as well. So these are a list of like things you could use to get information about your target. And some are related to like, okay, you actively trying to know about the target. Now, for example, who.is, if you go to this website, or you go to, so I hunter.io is like you are looking for emails that are related to that target. Let's say all of us are working in a particular organization, let's say index.com. So Olamide has our own account, Olamide at index.com. You're trying to just get all the emails related to that. That's when hunter.io comes in play. Now for sublister is a subdomain and fuzzing tool. Yeah, you make use of sublister to like get subdomains, and in some way it is interacting directly with targets. And a very good example of another method or another tool related to sublister is crt.sh. Yeah, crt.sh. I think that the site is currently going through is having a server error at the moment. But if you go to crt.sh, you should see an interface where you can input your target. Once you input it, all the subdomains related to that target is going to come up. That's that. For who is just giving you more server information. You understand? Let's say we type in tesla.com. Now, this is not because I don't take note, this is not it does not mean you can go to any target. No. Or this does not mean you can just input anybody's detail. Tesla is on a public like a vulnerability disclosure program. That's why I can use them here as an example. So you can Tesla they protected themselves from any publicly available information, and they are making use of some defensive DNS already. So moving on to the next one, Wapalizer is Wapalizer here on my screen. Talks about it too. Is an extension that you can install in your browser. That talks about what a website is built with, the technologies in use. So for track me now is using React 15.4. JavaScript libraries are being used, video players are being used, and main programming language being used is Node.js. And even this same webbrowser can go ahead to give you information about the server that is hosting the website and give you the version running as well. So this is built with and webbrowser, they are working the same way. You understand? They are working the same way. So if you scroll down, you see various information that you can find on this website. That is what Beauty is also giving you. So what you've learned now, just provide information related to the CEO of SpaceX. I think I've given you guys most of these insights. The CEO of SpaceX.
Elon Musk.
Oh, wow.
Elon Musk.
Are you sure?
I think so.
How did you know?
I used Google.
Exactly. It's one of the tools. I mean, one method of reconnaissance towards the target. No, who am I writing? Now, for sublister, what do you use sublister for? What does it list?
Like to gather domains and stuff like that.
Okay. Junior said gather domains. Junior, sorry, the answer is not acceptable.
I think it's actually for subdomains. I'm not even sure. For so okay.
So let's move on to the next one. Thank you very much, Wisdom. What is it called when you use Google to look for specific vulnerabilities or to research a specific topic of interest? What do you call it?
I don't know. Probably that's Google talking.
Okay. So I'm going to put a stop to the class right now. So you all will take this as your task to be submitted with your task for next week. I'm dropping it on the chat with this as well. Basic pen testing JT. This one as well. This is the second one. This one has OSINT as well. You take that as your task for next week. You submit it with your week 3 module reports. Let me drop it on the chat. Wisdom, hold on 1 second. Okay, Eric, I see you're sharing it on the group already. Can you just complete it? Eric, are you there? I see you're showing it on the group already. Can you just complete that? Let me just do that. So, okay, so these are the 3 rooms you're expected to turn in by next week. Wisdom, parents is up.
Yeah. The room, there's a room you actually gave us last week. I mean, this week actually. Yeah, probably last week. He gave us 2 rooms, active and open VPN, but he actually posted it like the date was undue. And it was only like one person that responded for that assignment. So I don't know if it's like kind of something we just need to type, and just send something.
You just need to respond to the question. Like, just you can add it to your reports for this week, and you can also like the way Chinua replied it on the chat. That's better. It's a comment. It's just a question, like what we're having the class that day. You understand?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, this one is not. It's not the same thing as last week. This one is an assignment. It's going to be attached to your week 3 assignment. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Yes. So the recordings of this class will be shared to the group. So for anyone who was not available, so they can go through it, or they were having network issues at the time, they can go through it. Genius, please take a screenshot of people in class at this time, and I'll draw the curtain here for today.
All right.
Oh, don't worry, I've done that. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It was